Ah, the rare Preybird fighter, first designed by the Celestin Corporation Sorosuub, and with a distinct bird of prey motif. Now pipe down, Star Trek fans. The Romulans or Klingons have nothing to do with this ship. But certain smugglers, pirate groups, and eventually the Imperial Remnant found a place for this heavy fighter in their forces. Preybirds never entered mass production due to disputes about weapon configurations. The prototypes and blueprints were eventually acquired by certain fringe groups. Preybirds certainly are on the heavier end of fighters. They're classified as a heavy assault space superiority fighter. Compared to the old T-65 X-Wing, these fighters are fairly large. Although they can match an X-Wing in speed, they're not as maneuverable and certainly not as nimble as a typical TIE fighter. On the upside, they're very tanky starfighters with a good bit of firepower. As you can see in my interpretation, they have a lot of redundant shield generators. Their main armament are two heavy laser cannons. They have some limited articulation to allow them to auto-aim and hit targets, rather than requiring the nose to be pointed right onto the target like most starfighters. Their secondary armament is concussion missile launchers. Unlike the heavy penetrating power of proton torpedoes that X-Wings and Y-Wings use, concussion missiles are good at taking out other fighters or smaller ships. Since Preybirds are not very good dogfighters, one concussion missile launcher can actually fire backwards, making these ships dangerous to chase. Preybirds were first designed a few years before the Battle of Endor. However, they never made much of an appearance. Sure, they were used by the occasional smuggler or pirate, but since no one was really building them, their appearance was rare. That is until the corrupt Imperial Moff Willem Disra and Lord Greyman struck a manufacturing deal with the Kavrilu pirates, who built them at hidden shipyards, and since the Empire was on the back foot by 19 BBY, they begrudgingly purchased Preybirds as a supplement for their TIE fighters. Although the Imperial's new Preybirds were good fighters, old schoolers such as Admiral Palion viewed them as a sign that the glory days of the Empire were long gone. Just as an aside, these fighters appear pretty rarely in things such as comic books or games. They were pretty prominently featured in the X-Wing series of games, and will sometimes appear in mods of Star Wars games. And there are a few differences in depictions of these fighters, but the ones I have here are most like the ones on the back cover of the novel Spectre of the Past. So by the time I have this video done, you should be able to play with this Preybird model on Sketchfab. I'll provide a link in the description if you want to play with it. And although my Patreon following is relatively small, I really appreciate any support you can provide there at patreon.com/resurrected. After all, I put a lot of time into making these models, maybe too much, for the amount of views I get on these animated ship breakdowns. And oh yeah, I've reached 30k subscribers. Thank you, Starship Crews. Please be sure to like, subscribe, share if you can, and say in the comments what you think about the Preybird fighters. Until next time, space friends.